Okay, did you guys watch the YouTube video? Pretty interesting. I thought it was just fascinating with the span and how the pharaoh was determining lengths, because he was so important in the Egyptian society. All right, so I'm talking today about the metric system. Metric system is what the whole world uses, with the exception of the United States and a few other countries. We use what's called the customary system, and customary uses inch, foot, yards. And for weight, we use pounds and ounces. But the metric system is what the whole world uses, except for us. So I showed you my ruler. This is a foot. We've talked about that. This has 12 inches. There's 1 inch all the way up to 12. But on the other side are centimeters. Centimeters are about as big as your pinky going across. Okay? This is a yardstick. We've talked about that. We know that there's 3 feet in a yard. We've talked about that. We know that a yardstick is about as long as your leg or a baseball bat. This also is a meter stick. In the classroom, I have a real meter stick. And you'll notice that a meter stick is, or when you, next year, you'll see, is about this much longer than a yardstick. Because this only goes up to 92 centimeters, and it should go to 100. Now, I'm going to tell you something truthfully. When I was in 3rd grade, my teacher, Mrs. Rigos, who I loved, awesome teacher, she said to the whole class, she said to me, Chapin, when you're an adult, which I am now, the United States will be using the metric system. So no more of this inches, feet, and yards. No more. It'll be the metric system. And I thought, oh, okay. Didn't think much about it. But as an adult, our country has not changed. And I don't think we're going to. But I may say to you, I'll say it to you right now, maybe when you're an adult, we will switch to using the metric system. The metric system is easier. It's easier to teach. It's easier to figure out. Because in the metric system, it's all based on tens. In the metric system, there are 10 millimeters. See those teeny tiny lines? Let the camera get adjusted. If you counted those teeny tiny lines, there'll be 10. And 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. And then if you had 10 centimeters, that's called a decimeter. And then if you had 100 centimeters, that's called a meter. If you had 1,000, that's called a kilometer. So the metric system is much easier. It's all based on tens. Because remember we did Tuesday, I said that 12 inches equals a foot. You have to memorize that. You have to remember 12 inches equals a foot. Remember I told you that 36 inches equals a yard. So those numbers are hard to remember. But if you use the metric system, it's all based on 10. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Earlier I said 100 centimeters equals a kilometer. That's not right. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. So the metric system is easier to do, but our country does not use this. But I have to teach it. Okay, so I'm sorry about my dog barking. So what we're going to do, move away. Sorry. Okay, what I'm going to assign on Schoology is I want you to find like 3 or 4 things in your house that's about a centimeter. So find 3 or 4 things in your house that you would measure using centimeters. So you could measure your nose, you could measure an earring, you could measure probably a pencil, you could measure a light switch. So that would be a centimeter. This is about a centimeter, your pinky. And then I want you to find some things in your house that you would measure using a meter. A meter is very similar to a baseball bat. It's very similar to a yardstick. You know, what would you use to measure a meter? I can think if I would measure our rug in here. I could measure the floor, you know, going from one room to the other. I could measure a window, which is too bright. Okay, so Schoology, I'll have an assignment finding things to measure with centimeters and things to measure with meters. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.